Where are you going?
Where are you going?
Again? Just where are you going?
Where are you going? You're not going to the bar again, are you?
You like hanging out, drinking beer at the bar, talking sports? Come on out and join us weekly. Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, your podcast for just that. Hanging out, drinking some beer, talking sports.
Have fun with the guys at the bar talking sports, Dad.
Do you want to help support the show? Well, we're doing it for beer, so go ahead and buy us a beer. You can do that through Venmo at Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, and we'll look forward to drinking that beer on you. God. Oh my God, I'm trying to start a podcast here.
Hey, keep it going.
All right. Welcome to Guys at the Bar Talking Sports. Sorry about having to air out our laundry. Sometimes we got to fight before a show.
The bar's out of makers, man.
I'm sorry.
You drank it all. I'm on tilt right now.
What's that about sponsorship?
Yeah.
Rep was leaving. He's out here.
The rep gave up on that sponsorship. Now you got to do what are you going to be drinking there?
Guinness.
All right. So, welcome to Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, the podcast where a bunch of guys and a gal get together because we have nothing better to do on a Tuesday night and we got to get away from our wives. At least some of us do, and I won't say who.
I don't have a wife.
And husbands.
Yeah.
I don't have either.
I got divorced. Yes.
Let's
drink to that.
Let's drink to that. Yeah.
Alright, this podcast is getting awkward.
Okay.
I don't have a husband either.
I know.
Let's drink to that.
So, guys, the Bar Talking Sports, we are recording at a bar. That's why you hear background sounds, which that's fine. It's authentic, right?
Little Stone Temple Pilots back there.
Yeah.
Plus.
And that's why every
Now we
time
gotta pay the royalties on that.
every time I post this to YouTube, it gives me a copyright infringement because of the background.
Shut up, YouTube.
Yeah, but whatever. They'll have to deal with it, right?
Right.
Because we're not making money off this thing. So if someone tries to sue us, they can take nothing, and that's it. Maybe a beer or something like that. All right. Biggest news of the day, saddest news of the day, actually hopeful news of the day as well. Damar Hamlin still in critical condition after the cardiac arrest on the field. Obviously, we're all keeping him in our prayers, keep his family in our prayers and all that. Was anyone watching that in real time? And I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on it because I wasn't watching it in real time, and I'd like to know who's your daddy? What were you thinking when this happened?
I mean, it wasn't a violent collision, I didn't think. It just looked like a normal football play, tackle. But what was funny, when he went to get up, the gentleman he tackled got up, but he went to get up and he stood up, and then he fell straight back, and almost hit
like a tree.
Mixon got out of the way. I mean, he just went straight back on the ground. And
Wow.
Mixon, the running back for the Bengals, pointed at him because he knew something was wrong, and then medical personnel was very quick to get out there.
They were quick,
Yes.
okay. Because it looked like, what I heard is that immediately they started doing CPR, and then somehow they got his heart going, pumping back again, apparently.
They defibrillated him.
They defibrillated him on the field?
Yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts on this?
So, within a matter of like 2 or 3 minutes, you just saw the Buffalo Bills surrounding the ambulance area where Hamlin was down being worked on. You saw all of the Bengals taking a knee in support.
Yeah.
And you looked in the eyes, you saw an embrace between Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. And at that point, just seeing the look of like helplessness on all these players' faces.
Yeah.
I knew the game, and I think most people just knew that game wasn't going to get played because there's no way they can go out there and put themselves in harm's way after witnessing what they just did. Right. And it wasn't a violent play, but it was like one of those one in a million situations where he got hit just right. But I applaud the NFL for whoever made the call because at the end of the day, they're both going to move on to the playoffs. But I don't think it's despite the fact they get paid millions of dollars, these are human beings, and there's no reason for them to have to try to overcome that emotionally traumatic experience to go try to play some football. I applaud them.
Yeah, it definitely was not a game that needed to continue on. And you heard people, I mean, as soon as it happened, I started looking on Twitter because that's where you're going to get the most immediate news usually. If you start trying to Google search it, you're going to get, Josh Allen from 5 years ago. You're going to get different news stories, but Twitter will give you
I
what's
think
going on
Skip
then.
Bayless kind of, didn't word his tweet properly and took a little fire for.
Oh, yeah. So
But I thought it was factual. I didn't think he put any
it was.
emotion in
It just
was,
wasn't the right time for
Right.
Focus
for that
wasn't
comment.
where it needed to
Right.
be.
But
Yeah.
Shannon Sharp, I also think, overreacted to the whole thing.
He overreacts to everything. He's
Yes.
a bum. Sorry.
I just felt like people were, like, there were some people that were like, just move on with the game.
I didn't see that at all.
You didn't? Okay,
No.
I saw a few, but maybe it was just some of the more idiotic. Obviously, it was the idiotic.
Yeah, I'm really
and
glad
it was more
that
in the
they
comments.
prioritized his safety and well-being over the game of football.
And it's a great
Absolutely.
statement for
Absolutely.
every player that's in the NFL to realize, hey, maybe they got our back. They probably don't, but at least now we can say maybe.
And then a medical doctor tonight on the national news, they showed a picture of your heart and the atrial fibrillation, which is your regular heartbeat, which he went into. They said that heart can be somewhere between a beat, and you take a blow to your chest can actually cause that, what happened, where he passed out. So
Yeah,
hopefully there's no history.
LeBron said that to me last night. I'll send that to you guys. It was a wonderful chart where it showed if you do this and you get hit right there, and you can't see it on the radio, but
As
yeah.
the medical professional at the table.
yeah.
Who's that? Who?
Well,
That's an absolute thing. So basically, it's almost you get the perfect timing in between beats. Look, there used
Yeah.
to be what you would call the heart punch, where like you
Right.
could stop a heart if you hit it hard enough at the right
The
time.
5-finger death punch.
I played soccer with a guy who that's happened
And
to.
so I think when it all shakes out, it's just going to be a freak, one of those type things, or it's an undiagnosed heart condition that nobody knew about. I mean, you look, Hank Gathers for Loyola Marymount back in 1980, 86, 87, fell out on the court, didn't know he had something, and that happened, and he died from it. The difference is today you have so much medical personnel on the field that they can be defibrillating you within minutes. I mean, that 9-minute window is what everybody's going to end up focusing on from the time they got to there till they put him in an ambulance, because was there damage done to him permanently, neurologically,
Right.
because of a lack of blood flow to his brain in that 9 minutes? That's going to be the question. Football isn't the concern
But
right
they're not
now.
going to move someone until they know that they're stable.
Yeah,
and ready
because
to
when
be
you
on that
look,
ambulance.
as an athletic trainer, you fall in. You go, is this a neck injury? Did he just get knocked unconscious? You check your ABCs like you always were taught in CPR class. And when they walk out there and realize, wait, there's no pulse, he's not breathing regularly. Okay, the heck with the neck. We got to get his heart going. And so therefore, again, I said, what's more concerning to me with this is having kids in youth sports is this is a professional game. They have the personnel. This kind of stuff happens at youth games all the time where there isn't the medical personnel there to do this kind of stuff. What I'm hoping is this trickles down to college. It trickles down to high school. It trickles down to middle school to where you need medical personnel on site at all times. My daughter's played at a 240-team soccer tournament in Nashville, Tennessee a month ago. A kid split their head wide open and was unconscious, and they had to call the ambulance, which took 25 minutes to get there.
Are you kidding
They
me?
didn't have one on site.
Wow.
So I'm hoping
Wow.
that is look, you always try to find the positives in all of this.
Right.
And what you hope in an incident like this is awareness comes out of this,
Yeah.
and we rethink what we're doing, and we do better. If you know better, do better. And
with
that's what I'm hoping.
And with that such a situation with that many people at one field in the soccer situation you just gave, is that all you gotta do is call the ambulance company and say, "Hey, we're having a big event. If you and position your people close there, because those ambulance drivers are just sitting there in a parking lot
Like
somewhere
our
at all
polar bear
times."
punch, we have an ambulance there every year.
Correct.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just basic safety planning, and it should be protocol for any sporting event. Military,
Yes.
that was a requirement. Anytime you had live ammunition on any of your training sites, you're required to have, a medic on site. Same thing.
Yeah.
Any sporting event should have that trained medic, qualified medic, to whatever level, whether it's an EMT or whatever,
Yeah.
and have those capabilities available to get them from the field to the hospital.
Yes.
When I look at what happened, I don't believe Hamlin's going to be able to play football again. 9 minutes without
No.
breathing on your own and having to have your pulse restored, that's significant. Hopefully he'll be able to live somewhat of a normal life moving forward, and that's good enough, and that's all we can really hope for.
They have him in a induced coma right now, is my understanding.
They got a breathing tube down his throat.
Yeah. So critical condition.
Still not breathing on his own.
Yeah, you're going to be in that situation for a while. He might be brain dead. Who knows?
He could be.
Well, I'm sure they've done a brain scan already, but they're not going to disclose that anytime soon.
They wouldn't disclose that this time.
Not anytime soon.
No way. They're gonna just. You want to keep the privacy there with the family.
Yes,
You
yeah.
know.
And finally, looking at the probably least significant matter of the whole story, I don't think they're going to play this game again.
No, they're not going to play this game again.
This is where, so we're going to take the humanistic aspect out of this and get back to the sporting aspect, because that conversation has to, as uncomfortable as it is, it has to happen.
I mean, it could be.
What I feel like they're going to do is they're going to play this week's games and see the outcomes. And the reason being is this: if in the event Kansas City were to lose this coming weekend, that game becomes very important for the number 1 seed in the AFC. At that point then, so they will find somewhere, somehow to play that game from it. And they won't be this week. What I think they would end up doing is doing it in the bye week, in between the playoffs. Because at that point then, it matters. Do you get a bye week first week, or are you playing somewhere? So again, that part is irrelevant at this point. They'll reevaluate it. Kansas City wins, they don't play it. I really do think if Kansas City wins the game, it doesn't matter. The Bengals are the 3, the Bills are the 1, go to the playoffs and move on.
What I believe will happen if they log this game at all, they will just take a tie.
Yeah.
Just take a tie. Okay.
Yeah.
If they don't continue the game, that's what'll happen. That's what'll happen. That way your records are even across the board, what have you. But
And I don't think anybody in the entire league would complain about that at all.
just where this gets dicey, honestly, is if Kansas City loses this weekend. If they lose this weekend, then it's like, oh crap, this game actually has meaning from a competitive moment.
Aren't they playing a crappy team this weekend?
Most likely.
I think they're playing the Colts or something.
Yeah.
All right, so let's recap briefly the playoff games from last week. I know we don't usually look in the past, but those were 2 playoff games that cannot go undiscussed on this show.
They were amazing games.
Like they were
Great games.
That was amazing football all weekend. Every game that was played except for that Purdue LSU game was pretty much came down to the wire.
Yeah.
But specifically Michigan TCU, it looked from the very beginning that Michigan was sloppy, playing sloppy football.
They looked unprepared.
They looked like they didn't take TCU as serious as
We
they
can go through
should
the
have.
motions and win this game.
Yeah.
Why did Michigan come out running the ball with authority and then stop running the ball? Why?
I say that all
Why?
the time about football coaches.
They
Why do you
can't-
run the ball down to the 10 and then you decide you want to pass?
You want to tell you
Man,
why?
they came out-
Your coach is a quarterback. That's why.
But if you
right.
look at it, TCU.
I agree.
TCU had multiple stops on first and goal. There was probably 3 or 4 times where Michigan's at first and goal, and they were just a brick wall.
Look, TCU out coached them, out schemed them. They basically said, McCarthy, we're going to make you beat us with your arm. We feel like our secondary can contain your arm, and they did. And when
Those
they
corners did a great
and
job.
look, as we were talking about before, they didn't really start throwing the ball around until McCarthy started running the ball and opening it up at that point. And then all of a sudden things started getting to where they wanted them to be. But you got to know that going into the game. You can't figure that out late.
And this was not a defensive powerhouse game by any means. I mean,
I don't think
it was
anybody thought a
100
shootout was going to occur.
Yeah, no one thought a shootout was going to happen, but you would think that there would be better defense on Michigan's side, and they weren't able to stop TCU. TCU, I didn't expect too much defense, but they do have a decent defense overall. For the Big 12, they had the best in the Big 12, I'm sure. You don't think so?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Actually, in most games, it was Max Dugan and the offense saving the defense because they were giving up huge leads throughout the season.
Yeah.
The one thing that really jumped out to me was how hard the TCU defense were hitting and tackling and making
were
clean
flying to the ball.
tackles to
They were.
Michigan. I mean, they were getting there and they were popping them.
What about the big plays that Michigan gave up almost every time they scored?
It was.
They scored and then they would give up a huge play like the next drive.
Yeah,
Uncharacteristic.
for
Very
sure.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is just, I mean, Michigan they looked sloppy from the beginning. We could see that with the fumble on the 1 yard line. You could see that with a few other things as well. What was there, two interceptions as well in that game?
Two pick sixes.
2 pick sixes.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So I mean, it was just sloppy on Michigan's side. We'll get to that later. I was going to ask, is that going to happen against Georgia? But we'll talk about that in a few minutes. What do you got?
Basically, when you want to strip down all the statistics, take it out of the game, when you watch that game from afar, as we all did on our televisions, you saw a hungry team and you saw a passé team. You saw a team that wanted that game worse, and they went and took it. I mean, that's just as simple as it. That was, you could throw the records out the window. That TCU wanted that game. They were more prepared, and they went and took it.
They played with heart.
They played with heart.
Nobody from
I've been
Michigan
saying that
thought
all
they had any chance of losing that game.
I think you talk about it looking ahead. I think Michigan was looking at the national championship game and went, "Oh, by the way, we got to play this one first."
Yep.
And well, you see the outcome.
They believed in themselves.
Yeah, I think Michigan came in saying there's no way there's no way we're gonna lose this game, and TCU came in and says we're gonna win this game.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
You know, that was the difference.
Right.
I think the difference of this game was that, and even taking my Ohio State hat off here, Jim Harbaugh got out coached. Period.
Yes.
Really? Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think Jim Harbaugh is a really good coach.
Not necessarily, because it really came down. I mean, obviously, we talk about the bad call by the officials on that touchdown.
That was
now clearly a touchdown. Clearly. I mean, everybody in America thought that except for the officiating crew there, and that right there. Immediately afterwards, you have a fumble mistake that wouldn't have happened.
In that boneheaded fourth down play.
Yeah,
On the first score.
Absolutely.
There was just so many lost opportunities there.
Look, there's bad calls in every game.
Yes.
If you get first and goal in the six inch line and you're Michigan, there should be zero reason you break down fundamentally and can't get a snap and punch it in.
If anything, that should
everybody
motivate
wants to
you
say
try
that
harder.
changed the tide of the game. No, it didn't.
No.
That play should have been okay. We're just taking one more to punch this in.
Right.
But that's why the games are great, because the funky stuff happens, and then well, here we are talking about a Michigan loss.
And stuff like that hardly happens in the NFL, but in college it can happen. I mean, Michigan should have been more disciplined than that.
I mean,
TCU
even look at Michigan's last play of the game. It was a botched snap. I mean, again, you broke down fundamentally. Don't blame a referee's poor call. You broke down fundamentally, and that cost you the game.
Now,
all they had to do was run the ball up the middle.
Yeah.
All game, and they would have won that game.
But I don't think so, because TCU had the middle covered, in my opinion, pretty well, except for that first play of the game.
Yeah. They had the first play. After that, they tightened up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, TCU tightened
Really,
up.
I think
then that's when
I think when Michigan had a chance in the second half is when McCarthy, started tucking it and running it. That really opened up the rest of the offense for Michigan.
Who's your daddy? What do you think about that Michigan game versus TCU? Because you've been a little quiet, and I don't know if you're heartbroken that Michigan lost. I'm sure you probably are a little bit
Everybody
heartbroken.
around the table just answered that question about heartbroken.
He's happy Ohio State season lasted longer.
I had exactly right. I was just going to say that, so everybody knows it. I'm tickled that the Buckeyes season lasted longer than that team up north. They played longer.
right.
Now I can't control what time the game starts. Buckeyes had a longer season than the team up north. But no, I had picked TCU to win that game, but I think I said on the show last week I was very optimistic about Michigan, how good their defense was, but kind of not really. I was disappointed in the way they played, but was not. I didn't lose any sleep over them losing.
Yeah. Now, let's kind of pivot over to Ohio State then while you got the microphone. Ohio State losing that game. I'm sure you were heartbroken about that.
They dominated the entire game.
They really did.
It's proof, and I've told the Ripper this. In my belief, I think I've said this on this show time before, but I just think they need to do away with field goals in the second half in the last 2 minutes of the game. Play football. I mean, Rebel's a football player. Play football. Why are you putting all that pressure on a field goal kicker?
But that's his only job. He ought to do it well.
Exactly.
Field goals are football too.
Yeah.
I know, but play
I agree.
football. Do away with the field goals.
If you-
in the last
if
2
you,
minutes. I think
If you perform on the offense good enough, you take field goals out of the equation. Drive it down and score.
that's why you play football.
No, but I'm saying though, if you're doing that well, but if not, kick the field goal and go. It's always been a part of the game. I don't mind that part of it.
I don't mind it either.
I mean, I will say the field goal kicker is always the hero or the GOAT. There's no in between. But I can tell you, All they do is stand out there and kick. That is your job. That is your one and only job. Now, look, I've got a former South Carolina kicker that can come and talk to this. He'll tell you you are put on the shoulders or you're buried. But you know that when you signed up for the job, man.
Now remind me, how long was that field goal kick?
50.
50.
I'll never
not a
change
gimme.
my decision on that.
I'm gonna
I
say
always
we would
think-
know. We didn't see it.
It's not a gimme, but it looked like he was shanking it over towards like maybe his
John
parents.
3:16,
Maybe his
did you
parents
see
were.
that?
Yeah, maybe his
That would
parents.
be
were
like
back
taking the
there.
3-point
There was a
line
sign
out
down there
of
that
the
said
college
John
basketball game in the
3:16
last 5
right
minutes to
left.
equalize it. It's part of the game. It is what
Somebody
it is.
said because it was getting near
probably a
midnight.
bad hold.
Did you get to see the ball drop?
I was sitting here watching between the two. It happened at exactly the same
I don't
time.
think
Same time. I had two
No.
TVs.
No, I was standing here watching
The
it.
ball I
Yeah.
saw.
Same
It was
time.
the same time.
No, the ball I saw drop went far left.
Wow.
Okay?
That's crazy.
The ball, he said the ball drop he saw was it went wide
It went
left.
Wide left. The ball I saw drop.
Okay.
And that's when I went to bed.
Yeah. Now we saw Ohio State. I think they played the best game of their season, honestly,
Yes.
against Georgia. Like that.
Yeah.
That was a competitive game. Ohio State came out. They looked like they were going to win that game from the beginning, and they were playing like nobody's business. Georgia looked a bit off until the very end. I mean, Stetson Bennett had quite a few. He had more yards though than C.J. Stroud, right?
I don't know. It was
I think
close.
They were.
was.
No, I saw a
It was
statistic.
like
They
They
were.
both were over
58 to
300
3.
yards.
No, I saw a statistic like all the way down on all the categories. They were almost tit for tat. Stetson Bennett was mildly better.
Mildly better, yeah.
No, he threw a pick.
I'm saying if you look at yards, you look at everything
yardage,
down.
you're
I'm
shenanigan.
saying if you look all the way down, he was mildly like they were. It was two evenly played quarterbacks.
It was a fun game
It's like
to
30
watch.
though. You know.
It was until the last 10 seconds that we missed.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, that's true. We didn't get to watch the very end because
We missed it. We saw
because
Miley Cyrus
Literally,
die.
all of a sudden, Miley Cyrus is up there, or whatever, doing whatever
Gonna
they
hang
do.
your
I don't know what
eyebrow
part you were
number.
at. I'm like, you done lost your mind. You better turn that ball.
I about lost my mind.
Yeah. Frank
I'd
was
have
looking on the phone
I'd
like,
have showed my ass.
Next thing I know, I look and it says final. You know, I'm like, what the hell on my phone? It was,
Well, you better let your boys busting at the seams talk about his game here.
all right, go. You got 3.5 to 5 minutes.
I don't need that much time.
All right.
So I'm going to point out some things, but they really don't matter. Ohio State did not play really their top 3 running backs in this game. They didn't play their top receiver because he's been out most of the season. They lost their best receiver this season in the third quarter. They lost their starting tight end in the second half. But they still had the ability to win. This was their best game offensively by far. Where I was at that night, Saturday night, I thought my keys to the game were push it downfield. Don't worry if you only rush for 100 yards for the game. You don't need to be balanced, but just keep them honest. And if C.J. Stroud just tucks it on occasion when it's open and gets that 4 to 8 yard carry to help move the chains, that's going to make the difference. The one thing I forgot to mention was hit the game-winning field goal. So I'm not upset. This is one of the best college football games that we've got to watch in recent memory, and my team was part of it. So I'm excited. I feel bad for Noah Ruggles, but hell, he won the Rose Bowl last year with a game-winning field goal. So he's going to be fine. He's going to kick in the NFL. The Buckeyes got some great talent coming back. CJ's going to go have an NFL career, and it sounds like maybe Ryan Day is giving up play calling duties. So maybe he can be more of a GM or an overall manager of the club moving forward. But as a Buckeye fan, I'm not disappointed. I'm not discouraged. Another year with our new defensive coordinator can only get things better. And we just landed the top transfer safety from Syracuse.
You need
So
it.
that's going to help us out moving forward on the defensive end. Go Bucks.
He nailed it. He nailed it. If Stroud follows suit of McCarthy during that game and tucks and gets 6, 8, 10, 12 yards a few times, what you start to see is the linebackers start cheating up. More importantly, those safeties start cheating up, at which point the long ball, but the middle of the field starts opening up wide open. Again, when I'm watching it, I'm like, if he tucks this ball and runs about 4 times, he's just going to start picking them apart because, again, the defense is going to respond to that action and go, okay, we've got to honor this now. And you saw it in one game, you didn't see it in the other, and here we are.
Well, now, Rebel, you probably don't know this, but not counting sack yardage, he had 70 yards rushing.
I know.
I mean, that's a career high.
What I'm talking about is those plays where you sit. Okay, they say 1,000, 2,000, up to 4, and you tuck and go. You don't let it open up. He waited because he wanted to put it on his receivers because that's how good they were. And I feel like a few times if he would have just been selfish, I think you would have started seeing the defense have to react to that, and who knows what happens from there.
Who's your daddy? I think you're trying
I just
to say
want to
something.
say, we can talk about all the ifs and buts and all that.
Sure.
But think about what we would be saying if he hit the field goal.
Yeah.
Georgia got out-coached. They didn't want it as much as Ohio State. Kid misses a field goal. Georgia wins.
No, I think if they make the field goal, the conversation is exactly the same. Ohio State wanted it worse, and that's what you would see. Ohio State went in and said, we want this game worse, we're going to outplay you, and now we're playing for a national championship.
Chopper,
Yeah,
you've been saying Georgia all season, so did they play the game you expected them to play, and are they going to?
I would say I was a little more impressed with Ohio State than I thought I was going to be. I'm kind of hard on them sometimes. I probably shouldn't be. I thought they played a pretty good game against Georgia. And I thought I enjoyed the shootout between them. But yeah, the kick at the end, it's not always a kicker. Might have been a bad snap. Might have been a bad hold.
It's really admirable, honestly, to hear this coming out of your face. I appreciate it.
Out of your face, man. Out of
my
your face.
But I love the exciting shootouts, the back and forth, no defense type games.
Let's just say the playoffs did not disappoint this season.
No,
and every
honestly.
season it seems like it's disappointed a little bit.
Boom.
But I think we had
Frickin' boom.
four evenly matched teams. Now, obviously, TCU probably not evenly matched with all 3 of them, but those boys play with heart, and that just says something that if you play with that much heart, that makes you 5% better. And if that other team is 5% better than you overall,
TCU got there 2 days before Michigan. No distractions.
yeah, they were ready to frickin' play.
Mm-hmm.
They were there to win that game.
And they did.
Here's what's going to be one of the coolest stories of this football season is TCU very quickly could be 1983 North Carolina State Wolfpack. There's no reason they should be playing how they are. There's no reason they should find a way, but they've taken the Jim Valvano approach. Win in advance. I don't care how you do it. Win in advance. And
Survive in advance.
Survive in advance.
There you
Thank
go.
you. So all you got to do now is, look, it don't matter what you've done at this point. You
One
got your
game.
opportunity. Look, only thing in life you can ever ask for in sports is an opportunity. That's all you could ever want. And you've got it. You did what you had to do to get the opportunity. Now what are you going to do with it? And I'm looking forward to it. I will tell you this. That 13-point opening line spread is crazy. It's crazy.
It is much easier to motivate a team like that than it is to motivate a team that's coming in to play that team.
Look,
That's
if
a defending
TCU,
champion.
look, if TCU can fend off the first quarter storm, if they can stay in the game and start believing we can win this ball game more than they already do,
Like they did with Michigan.
here we're going to go.
Out to a quick start. They got off to a quick start against Michigan.
Yeah.
I was
Oh, yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
wow.
No, they're
Now-
21-7, I
They
think.
came out, punched him in the face. And
I asked this question last week, and now we get to see the results of it, right? Which coach is going to take the most flack from the fans, Ryan Day or Jim Harbaugh, or neither?
Neither.
Because I've heard some people calling for Ryan Day's head.
They're
I've heard
fri-
people saying, good
Hey, they're
riddance,
bl-
Harbaugh,
They're blanking
go coach,
ignorant.
go
Blanking
coach at
ignorant.
Carolina.
If anybody's going to catch flack, it's going to be Harbaugh. For the standpoint of Ryan Day is all in, Ohio State. Harbaugh's now starting to hear the whispers of
Has
the
Harbaugh won
NFL
a
and all
bowl
this kind
game
of
since
stuff.
he's been there?
No, he's lost the last
Last
six.
He's lost 6 bowl games in a row.
I mean, at some point, you got to finish. right?
Nah.
He's got 2 wins against
Let me explain
Ohio
something.
State,
I
which is
know.
important.
Hey, Boo, tell me. Lose a bowl game or beat Ohio State? Which one's more important?
Come on, Goop.
Thank you very much. That's what matters.
Goob has spoken.
Way to
There
go,
we go.
No, I agree with that until you start beating Ohio State. And once you start beating Ohio State, then it's like we want to beat Ohio State and with the next game.
The expectations are now going to be not only beat Ohio State, but
And let's
it's
not
gonna-
get used to
That's right,
this.
the bar shifts.
Michigan.
let's get a national
bar
championship.
shifts, you
Let's
know?
get a
Gotta
national
have it
championship on our
every
belt.
year.
Harbaugh goes to the Panthers. He won't give a crap what anybody
Oh,
says.
I like it, Cheeks.
I don't think Harbaugh's going anywhere. I think he's happy
I can't
at
see him
home.
going to the Panthers.
Yeah.
Part of me wonders, look, this is a chess match with coaches these days. Part of me wonders if he puts that out there, hoping that Michigan will come back around and throw a little bit more money on the table to keep
Well,
him
he
around.
took a pay cut 2 years ago.
I
He's
know.
due for a big
That's what I'm
move.
saying. So I'm wondering if there isn't
Show
some
me-
reverse psychology there.
Jerry Maguire, baby.
Show me the money or I'm gone.
Show me the money. So, I think we played out we've talked for a long time
Playoffs.
about the playoffs. Yeah, we talked a long time. We rarely look back, but in some ways we're looking ahead because I was talking about Jim Harbaugh, Ryan Day, where they're going. So we kind of brought it back to that. But let's get into my favorite female chic besides my wife. My favorite female cheeks.
Hey, tell us how you really feel.
Favorite sport, and that is the NFL.
Yes!
All right. Are the Eagles, have they locked themselves into the playoffs yet?
No, but this
Well, they're
Sunday
in.
they will at 4. Well, I guess it'd be about 7:30. They will have locked themselves into.
Well, no,
Now,
they're in the
they're-
We've got
playoffs.
the
They're in-
playoffs. We've got the playoffs. What we want is home field advantage and the division.
Yeah, so right now, Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants, I think they're
Yes.
tied.
No, not the
They're
Giants.
not tied. They're
Not the
all
Giants.
Giants are in.
orange.
It's the Eagles to lose at this point.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
right now the NFL situation is like this. AFC, the Bills, Chiefs, Chargers, Bengals, and Ravens are locked into the playoffs.
Yes.
At least a wild card spot between those ones. And then we have the Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, 49ers, Vikings, and the Buccaneers
Oh my
Brady
God.
Brady Nears.
in the NFC. Now,
So undeserving.
I called it. You can call me Hanger the Predictor over here if you want to. But
Hanger the Homer is
I
what you
called it
should call
and
you.
said that Tampa Bay was going to win the NFC South.
Hey, Mike
And
Evans
they
had
did.
like 48 fantasy points on Sunday.
I don't
48.
even- I don't know what fantasy points are.
All right, so he had 208 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns on 10 receptions. That's a big day.
Ohio State could win the NFC East right now. That's how bad that
That's not
division
true.
is. They are
I mean,
That's not true.
Hey,
That,
No,
no.
sorry,
wait,
NFC
wait.
South.
Yeah.
NFC South.
The
The
NFC
NFC East
let
is
me-
the best in the East.
Let me
Yeah.
make clear, he's not trashing Ohio State.
No, I'm giving
he's
him a big
trashing
pump
the
the
conference.
NFC South, yes.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So the Buccaneers are in, though. That's to me.
They
that's
are
a good
in.
thing.
They are in.
And in my call, middle of the season, my mid-season call is going to come to fruition as
Fruition.
the
Fruition.
Fruition.
We got you.
fruition.
Give him another.
I drank
No.
one too many of these Shiner Bock Oktoberfest, apparently.
I love that.
What?
You made up a new
It'll
word.
come to fruition.
I like fruition.
Did I say fruition?
Fruition.
It'll come to fruition
Fruition now.
with Tom Brady winning the NFC against the Bills.
You know, he's
They're
going to
gonna
throw
go
for
to the Super
5,000.
Bowl against the Bills.
There's a
baby.
good chance he throws for over 5,000 yards this year.
Oh my God.
It's gonna be
Because
insane.
Because he's in a
45 years
crappy
old.
division.
And there's no
It doesn't
cursing
matter.
on this show there.
I'm not cursing.
Rebel.
I hadn't said a word. I might have
All right.
told you what I think
But
about
more
your pick.
interesting than that is the fact that if the Cowboys lose
Go
and
Cowboys.
the Eagles lose, guess who takes it off?
Who?
The 49ers.
Yes, they do.
Who I said was going to play where? In the Super Bowl. But not with Brock Purdy. Good gosh.
Why not?
Hey, I picked the Cowboys to play in the Super Bowl.
Hey, Hanger.
In week 1.
I think that you have a
One.
chance of that happening too.
Hey, Hanger. Remember
But they
when
gotta beat the
And who
Bucks.
did I pick?
Remember when I picked the Saints and the Chargers?
Yeah, that's not, I don't think that's happening now.
It was my
Desmond
pick.
Howard,
Chargers,
49ers
okay.
and the
I think mine's a lot more
Bills.
realistic. The Eagles and the Bills.
Yes. So who's in?
I picked right with you.
Yes.
Who's your daddy? Have you been watching some NFL football? Does your wife let you watch football on
Are you
on
kidding?
Sundays?
my wife will watch football before I will.
Really?
Yes.
Why isn't she on the show then?
You clearly don't know Mrs. Buckeye, not Mrs. Who's Your Daddy.
I don't know Mrs. Who's Your Mama?
No,
NFL.
Mrs. Buckeye. She didn't like that one.
Can it be Who's Your Mama?
Who's Your Mama?
Oh, she might. No, not
that's a
Hoosier.
good one.
Nothing Hoosier. Maybe Buckeye Hoosier.
Buckeye
When
Mama?
the Buckeyes and Hoosiers play, I'm for the Hoosiers, she's for the Buckeyes.
So who does she like in NFL then?
The Browns?
Okay. Now, tell me this. You've been watching a lot of
They're not
football
in the
then, with your wife, apparently. What are you thinking about this NFL situation with the playoffs?
Playoffs.
I know this, the Browns aren't in it.
That's correct.
Of course,
But
yeah.
I did pick, along with Cheeks, the Bills and the Eagles at the beginning of the year,
Yep.
because I guess staying with front runners on top. But right now, there's a lot up in the air. with these
There
games
is.
coming up. There really
But
is.
like the Jaguars,
Yeah, they might get
thought that they would be anything. They're 8-8 also, by the way.
Yeah, there might be. Okay, what do you got, man?
No, I'm telling you this. When we did this early pick, I said 49ers and Bills. That actually looks really good. And look, when I go NFL, I go full out homer. Aside from the situation last night, let's put this on the shelf. I so wanted to see that game last night because I'm a Bengals guy. And I'm telling you, they're coming on, man. I'm telling you, BDJ may get them there. I mean, he may get them over the hump. I'm like, that dude is so cool. I mean,
That's bad dude Joe for you.
yeah, you keep telling that. But Joe Burrow has got those guys. Again, they started off floundering around. He's got them humming right now. Look, I think it's going to be the 49ers and the Bengals.
They're looking good. They are good.
Oh, welcome to 1989.
No,
No
hey,
doubt, but it's going to be a different outcome this time.
20 to 19. I'm going to jump right into that. I was thinking the same thing. The Bengals had a slow start, but they are picking it up
Yeah,
consistently.
people are giving Joe Burrow a lot of flack in the beginning of the
And you know what he
season.
said after a 1-2 start in an interview? He stood and he went, relax.
Yeah.
We played 16 games.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah, Joe Burrow's a cool guy.
So I'm gonna roll with the Cincinnati Bengals to make it back again. And the Green Bay Packers have won 5 in a row in the playoffs. Playoffs.
Playoffs.
Playoffs. They are in the playoffs. Green Bay,
I think
Cincinnati.
you got hit in the head.
Huh?
I think you got hit in the head.
I think that.
Well, that's not nice.
I mean, it's possible.
Well, it's a good excuse for you picking the Packers.
Well, we'll look at this. I said
Got
early
Aaron
on.
Rodgers.
I said early on with the Eagles. I said early on with what they were running. I said my concern with the Eagles, not being an Eagles hater at all, was when they got into the back half of the season, where they started to flounder a little bit. Now, granted, Hurts being hurt has influenced that.
Yeah. Sure.
But they seem to start showing some weaknesses here. So we'll see how it shakes.
So our listeners are confused because we don't usually do this much NFL. So we got to move it back
That's
to
the National Football League.
Yeah.
For
So,
those that aren't tracking.
Yeah, so all 6 of our listeners, which is all of them are at this table. Well, actually, all of them. One of y'all does not listen,
I
and then
listen.
someone else is listening. I'm pretty sure. But anyway,
4:25 on Sunday is going to be the most interesting time to watch football this week.
they're confused.
Browns
They're
playing?
confused.
No, the Cowboys are playing and the Eagles are playing, but not against each other. The Eagles are on CBS.
Oh,
How
nice.
weird is that?
Okay.
What else we got?
We have to move on to the college football
Moving on.
national championship game.
Do it. Do it.
All right, so TCU is probably going to. They're probably actually already there preparing at this point
Good.
to
The
play
game's on
against
Monday.
the Georgia Bulldogs, right?
Yeah.
And
In California, right?
so is TCU going to put up the fight that they put up against Michigan? Are they going to play with that much heart? Are they going to have a brick wall on that defensive line? Are they going to be able to get 2 pick sixes against Georgia? What's going to happen in this game? Because everyone, what is there, 13 points? Right?
Bulldogs are opening at a 13-point favorite.
Yeah.
I think it's the largest spread for a national championship game ever.
Georgia will not come out unprepared. They will not start the same way as Michigan did.
But what was the spread with TCU and Michigan?
7.5, I think.
7.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah. So
okay
it's
now.
my thing is it's as a fan, because I don't have a no pun intended, the dog in this fight is I just can't wait to watch it because there's going to be so many storylines with this. It's winning back-to-back national championships since the last time when Alabama was able to do it. But I can tell you, as a fan, I'm all in Horned Frogs on this just because.
I would love to see it. Yeah.
But my concern is this: with teams that have never been there, I'm almost concerned it's going to be like a Power 5 approach. I'm not saying it is, but it'd be my concern of you were able to get up for one game. Now you're playing in the big boys. Can you get up for two? And that's asking a lot.
Yeah, but I think you got to remember this team was picked last in the conference.
I agree with
this team beat 4 ranked teams throughout the season.
Yep.
This team has a brand new coach.
I don't think it's about whether they're ready to play. I think it's going to be a shootout.
Are these guys ready for this stage? That's the question.
I can tell you one thing: Georgia defense will not let that be a shootout. They're coming to play. They're going to shut down. They're going to shut down TCU.
But Michigan has a comparable defense to Georgia.
I would love to see TCU shoot out with Georgia, but Georgia is going to lock them down.
I think Max Duggan has
They're going to lock them down.
Max Duggan has the ability to make it a shootout against that Georgia defense.
Georgia defense will lock them down. I think so.
It's going to be so fun to watch. All right, Ripper, I'm going to give you the floor on this one. Go.
It has been 22 years since a first-year coach led his team to a national championship. That was Miami in 2001. Anybody remember that coach's name?
Coker.
No.
Lou Coker.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember he's bald-headed. That's all I can remember.
That's right, yeah.
22.
Larry.
That'll be a headline
Larry
on Tuesday.
Coker.
Larry Coker.
If
Sonny Dykes does the same for TCU, and the Big 12 gets some damn freaking respect.
Yeah.
Respect those Big 12
Look.
as Texas and Oklahoma leave.
If TCU wins this game, it's because they're walking in with a swagger of why not us, and it's because they take that playbook and they rip the cover and the back cover off because anything's on the table. Look, 4th and 8, you're on in, you fake the punt. You got to put it all out there because there is no tomorrow. If they go in with that kind of attitude, they have a shot to stay in the game. If TCU can get within a score into the 4th quarter, look out. If they get blown out in the first half of this game, I mean, if they're down 2 scores, it's a different beast though. If the pressure's a little bit different, if they can get into the 4th quarter within a score,
No
TCU
contest.
can pull this thing out.
Georgia linebackers are going to lock them down.
But you know too, if Georgia Bulldogs can keep it within 14 points in the 4th quarter, they might have a chance to come back too.
Oh,
No.
it's so. I mean, Stetson Bennett has the
I can tell you
ability.
right now, Georgia's game plan is going to be to put up points early and fast and shut this thing down in the first half and it's over. That's their game plan.
Where's the game being played at?
Out west.
Out west. So I mean, both fan bases are going to travel well.
Yeah,
you're going to have 50-50 split.
It's definitely going to be a neutral field.
Okay, so I mean that's good.
How many
Georgia,
TCU fans are there?
Georgia doesn't know what it's like to play on a neutral field this season. They don't even know what it's like to play. Georgia doesn't even know what it's like to play away games this season because every game they played is freaking in Georgia. It seems like this.
I like it better when Rebel is anti-TCU because every time he's anti-TCU,
No,
I win.
my money's on Georgia to win the game.
See?
I'm just.
What the
My
fuck?
money on my mind.
What the fuck?
What the
We
fuck?
gotta move on.
I'm trying.
So what the fuck? Okay, I gotta hear it. So we're gonna start with Rebel. What the fuck?
We've already touched on mine. My what the fuck is Skip Bayless. He's an idiot. He's always been an idiot. He lives by controversy. He says edgy stuff to get a response.
Hot take.
Last night he crossed the line, dude. Yeah, Shannon Sharp overreacted to it because he's a punk too.
So what did he say? Do you have it?
Well, yeah, but basically it was like, can they not play this game? They've got to finish this game. He was concerned about the game, and oh, by the way, we're concerned with the player on the field.
Yeah.
But it was on Twitter, so you're putting inflection in there when it was just written.
Yeah, and then he's backtracked. He's deleted it all. I'm like, man, I understand how you make your living, and I can appreciate that, but sometimes put your ego on the shelf and really recognize the situation that's at hand. He's an idiot. He always has been an idiot.
He's no filter.
What the fuck, Skip Bayless?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Chopper, what the fuck?
All right. Ripper, I'm sorry, but my what the fuck
That's okay.
goes to the whole Big Ten Conference.
No way.
Only because they get 2 teams in the semifinals and 0 teams in the Natty. What the fuck?
All right, so my what the fuck moment. You want to go? Who's your daddy?
Mine about counteracts is what he said. My
All
what
right.
the fuck moment is respect for the Big Ten. They had 2 teams in the Final Four. Now, they lost. I didn't see 2 SEC. I didn't see 2 Big 12. I didn't see 2 ACC teams in there. So
You'll never see
What
that.
the fuck?
All right,
All right.
they made it to the show. They made it to the show.
respect for the Big Ten.
My what the fuck is this? What the fuck hanger. And the reason why is because I was totally dissing bowl season. Like, oh, no one wants to play. It's going to be crap. It's not going to be worth watching. And I've watched probably 50 games. I've watched almost all of them because I have such an intense work job
working hard.
during this time of year. Yeah. And what the fuck, man? These games have been freaking amazing to watch. There's been a lot of games that come down in the last few minutes, and it's been fun to watch. So what the fuck, hot hanger? What the fuck?
What about?
Cheeks, give it to me.
Well, mine is obvious. Mine's about the Eagles because the last 2 weeks have been difficult to watch my boys play.
Cowboys?
No, my boys, not
You're
the
about to get
Cowboys.
punched in the face.
Yeah,
Them boys.
you're lucky you're out of reach right now. So it was embarrassing losing to the Saints, especially since we've got their draft pick. But it was our poorest defensive showing the entire season. Minshew had 6 sacks.
He's got a great stash, though.
Thanks. He does. He looks like David Arquette. He also threw an interception at the end of the game that was returned for 6. Thank you very much. And unfortunately, I believe the 2021 Eagles made a showing on Sunday. I'd like to see the 2022 Eagles show up this Sunday.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Ripper!
All right, so this goes to the legion of anti-Buckeyes out there. A lot of them on our Facebook page. If any of you that said Ohio State did not deserve to be in the playoffs, watch that game and still maintain that same mentality,
You're not a
you
football
have
fan.
no credibility.
Right.
No credibility. And I'm ashamed of you.
Agreed.
What the fuck, people on
fuck?
Facebook?
Right.
What the
What
fuck?
the fuck?
No. Even our sportscasters here in Columbia are bashing Ohio State. Said that they just didn't even deserve to be there after the game. I'm like, you're an idiot. You're a freaking idiot.
What the fuck?
You're not Candy. You're awesome.
Say it.
Last call.
All right, there we go.
Oh,
That was right on time. That was the perfect timing, okay? I've never had it so perfect timing yet. All right, so the last call might have been confusing when y'all saw me write it, but how did your preseason expectations hold up in hindsight now that the season is over? It more had to do with your preseason picks for the top 4. So but you can go however you want to on this, but here's how I'm going to do it, okay? I said Florida will be 10-2, and they sucked this season, okay?
Were they 2-10?
They were 6-7, all right? So, yeah, not 2-10, thank God. Because then I don't know what I would have done. And then Alabama, Ohio State, Baylor, and Oregon were my top 4. And apparently Ohio State was the only one that made that top 4.
Yeah.
Overall, the season was freaking great fun. I had enjoyed it. And it's always my saddest time of the year when that national championship game is over. I'll let Cheeks go ahead and go on with this one now.
Well, I enjoyed this season too, probably because I called the Heisman winner in the first week.
Whoa.
Not that I want to rub that in anybody.
Heisman?
I don't want to even let y'all know what the Rebel was doing.
Yeah, no kidding. But also, I loved
He was rolling
TCU
dice.
the entire season, and I pulled out the girl card at one point and said it's because they're playing with heart. But they had a great season, and I'm looking forward to Monday. USC from California. I was rooting for them from the very beginning. Yes, they lost to Tulane. That was sad and unacceptable, but they were great to watch all season. And then in week 1, I called the Eagles and the Bills, and they have not disappointed.
No one expected USC to do that well except for you.
Yep.
And they did pretty darn well, except for pretty shameful loss
Yes.
yesterday, but otherwise, who's
Other
your
than
daddy? Your thoughts?
Well, I think I picked Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, and Utah. I did pick Utah. to
Wow,
win the
75%.
So you got 75%.
So I did
Ding, ding,
come in with
ding.
that, but we lost by a field goal. That's the way I'll end the season.
Sad. Did you cry?
No, I didn't cry.
Okay. But you had to comfort Ripper because he was crying.
Well, Ripper was in another household watching the game, and when he came home, I was already in bed. So
Tell me
I
more,
didn't get to talk to
Ripper.
Ripper.
Oh, I did marry his daughter, so I was good. I have one of my 4 make it. So Ohio State, that was it. I said they would be 11-1 and get in. I had them losing to Michigan State. They actually lost to Michigan, right state, wrong school. I had Oregon from the Pac-12. They were about a game. I think did they lose 2 or 3 regular season games? That was close. I had Kansas State as my real big homer outside since I went to school there.
Good pick.
And they did
But
freaking great.
they made a New Year's Six bowl
Yeah.
Yeah,
and got
great pick.
blown out by Alabama. And then the last one I had was Alabama over Georgia. I didn't think Georgia had what it, after losing half their defense, if not more, to the draft. But I had Alabama getting back, so I was 25%. And
You did just as well as I did.
we're like twins.
Pretty much.
Just
yeah.
like.
Pretty much.
Twinsies.
Chopper.
Yeah, so I picked a rematch of Georgia versus Alabama.
Okay.
So I got 50% of that right. Of course, Alabama didn't make it. Ohio State was clearly the better team than Alabama in terms of making the playoffs, but they couldn't finish against TCU. So,
Boom. And Rebel.
I don't remember my exact Final Four. I think my exact Final Four was Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, and Clemson. I think is what I picked with the 4.
Okay.
With Alabama, Clemson playing for it all, I would say that this is a matter of a questionable PI call and about 8 seconds worth of field time. That could have been a very feasible conversation. But here we are. But my biggest disappointment of the year, my own App State Mountaineers, who I thought was going to be the green wave this year, who would go 10-1 or 11-1, 12-0, something like that. When we finished 6-7, what a disappointment. But hopefully we're going to reload and come back and do it again
that
next
was an
year.
exciting year.
That was an exciting year.
Those 2 games were exciting.
Yeah,
I mean,
we had a lot of. We came out of week 3 as everybody's darlings, and we ended up being everybody's goats. So hopefully we'll do better next year.
But not the greatest of all times.
No, goat white.
Yeah, the other.
I know. All right, so thank everybody for joining us here at the bar at MJ's Bar and Grill. Best bartender in the country.
Andy!
Back there. And keep on coming back. She's an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
Keep on coming back every week and listen to more guys at the bar talking
Sports!
See ya.
If you like the show and you want to help the guys grow the show, go ahead and go to your podcatcher and subscribe to the show. Then you could also write us a review and give us 5 stars. If you do that, it'll help us grow the show. You could also join our Facebook group, which allows you to have camaraderie with other sports fans all over the country. You might even get a free beer out of it. So go ahead and join that group as well. And then check out our Substack, which is Guys at the Bar Talking Sports.substack.com for weekly articles and the Ripper Report.